Yeah.
We pushed you over the edge, Chris.
Come to the dark side.
They hard with these things.
Luke Skywalker. I'm an asshole, just so everybody knows. Well, welcome to Force Connect live on Friday night, part of the SSW network, the only Star Wars live Friday conversation show that allows you to call in and give us your opinions, even if they're as batshit crazy as some of the stuff we've heard this week. We want to hear from you. We hope you're hanging out with us. We hope you're ready to dial in. We're going to put that link up in just a few moments. But before we get started, I want to say hello to my co-hosts every week. I am lucky to be joined by Mr. Chris Ryans and Mr. Nick Milkey. Nick, how you doing, buddy?
Gentlemen, we're here. We made it through. We survived. I think we earned the ability to say, as an honorific, we survived. Another season of Star Wars television, and I'm excited to be here to talk about it. I'm a little bit tired of listening to other people talk about it because I'm kind of over, the nonsense, as we like to talk about. But I'm good. I've got a drink. I've got my friends, and it's time to hang out.
Awesome. Chris, how are you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, Pete. Doing great.
Doing great is a hot take. We're in for some trouble tonight.
Chris is doing great. We're all in trouble.
I'm just fine, everyone.
Well, good. Did you enjoy the season finale of The Mandalorian? Did you enjoy? I don't care what anybody else thinks. I don't care what other people say. I'm asking you, Chris. Me? Did you enjoy episode 8, season 3 finale, Mandalorian?
You've met me, right?
We've spoken once or twice.
Yeah. That's all you need to know. No, I loved it. I loved it. Every bit of it. Not just the pew-pews and explosions. There's a whole lot more going on. I'm sorry. I'm not going to cut a promo on. Sorry. I'm going to keep it together, guys. I promise.
That's okay. That's all right. Hey, we're this is like Friday night therapy. This is totally fine. This is totally good. But yeah, no, it was a fun season finale. I think it gave us things a little bit differently than we've gotten it before. And you know what? I tweeted it, and I'll say it here to start the show. When the episode ended, I was like, oh, because I walked in with too many expectations that when I thought about it for a couple more minutes, I gave it about 15, 20 minutes. And next thing I knew, and I realized, I thought about the ending, and I realized that there's closure, and it was a rarity in a Star Wars story to have a completed arc. And that's exactly what we got. And we didn't get end credit scenes, and we didn't get a Thrawn. All the predictions that we had last week, just about every single one of them was wrong. And that's difficult, I think, sometimes for fans to deal with when they go into an episode. But when you stop and you think about it, it's actually the best possible thing, which means that they told a great story that was not predictable, and it was a solid ending. Nick, where'd you come down on it?
I got a prediction right, and it's important to say because it's the first prediction in the history of Star Wars that I've gotten right. And that prediction was simply that there would be no Luke, no Boba, no Ahsoka in this show. It
was sort of an anti-prediction, and it worked out.
I was right, though. Yeah. I was right. I need a picture. My face. I was right. I loved it. I'm literally the exact same way you are, which is not surprising. That's the thing we run into all the time. I watched the first episode, or the first time at 3:45 in the morning. I rolled over. I checked my phone out of a slumber, and I went, oh, it's on now. So I threw in an earbud. I watched it, and as soon
the
as
way it was meant to be seen, bleary-eyed,
the way George Lucas intended, laying flat on my back.
Yes,
yeah, flat on my back, phone in my face. And as soon as it ended, my immediate thought was, wait, they didn't do any of the things I thought they were going to do. Yep. And I went, And then I went, okay. And I went back to sleep. And then when I got up 2 hours later and started getting my kids ready for school, I put it on the TV and watched it while I was milling around and doing morning stuff and was like, holy crap, this is so fun. Like, it didn't have to. And we said it last week. We've said it, in between everywhere else. My expectations that I put on it was literally the only thing wrong with the episode was I had expectations.
Yeah. And I'll go ahead and reference it. I was very lucky. I was asked to be on Screen Crush with Ryan Airy, and the episode dropped today. And I was on with Matt Singer, who you may know if you watched the show in the past. He was on very much in the camp of didn't like it, didn't meet my expectations, blah, blah, blah. But the point that I made to him was that walking in with expectations, if I've learned nothing in the Disney era of Star Wars, it's that you can't bring in your expectations and expect them to happen, because it will ruin it for you. That's what happened to me on The Last Jedi. That I've said it 1,000 times on across the network. I walked out of The Last Jedi and I said, that was both the best and worst I've ever seen, because it didn't do any of the things I wanted it to. And now, of course, Last Jedi is one of my favorite Star Wars stories. So expectations are very dangerous. But I also have to say, and Chris, I'll throw it to you in a second, but the cast did not help by tweeting nonstop for 48 hours before the episode. You asked for more, you may not be happy with it, meaning, it's going to be very emotional. They set it up as this epic ending, which then takes, if you believe that, I don't know, Grogu was going to wield the Darksaber, in your head, you're like, my thing's going to happen. And it didn't happen. And that's this part of the challenge. And it's also, I think people want to be force fed, and I'll throw that to you, Chris, real quick to talk about before we head into our break. But you talked a lot about that. I mean, that was your biggest issue with Matt Singer's perspective and a lot of people's perspective, not to just call him out, but that people are no longer patient for stories or demanding. You said it better than I did. I'd like to hear you say it again.
I forgot what I said. I was was I in anger frenzy? I probably was.
You probably were. You're probably in one.
Were you rage speaking?
Frothing at the mouth and everything. But that's one of the things. Everyone, like, it seems like there's some people, and like that Singer dude, and and people like that. They want it all right now. Why did this happen? Why did that happen? Why are they doing this? Why are they going there? Wait, and you'll get the answers that you need. You have to have patience. People want it microwave. They want everything right now. I sound like an old person. I know I do. I do. But that's part of the problem. It's about the journey. We're still on the journey.
Yeah. 100%. 100%. Well, as you can
tell, absolutely. Everyone wants their headcanon. That's another problem. People want to, when they do, not saying us, but other pundits out there, whatever, they do their reviews and they talk about the shows and they complain about what didn't happen instead of what did happen, and go off of that and do it that way. I think this is why, I'm sorry, I know people like the word headcanon. They like to use it. Headcanon. Yes. Because like people hold on to that and then they can't see anything else past that. And that was a huge thing with Last Jedi. And I'm glad that one of the things that Ryan Johnson put into, or whoever put into the trailers, is that one line from Luke. Because when you were talking about that, Pete, I was thinking the same. I was thinking about this line that Luke said, "This is not going to go the way you think."
Yep.
And people need to. I was so happy with Last Jedi, and I was so happy that I had no idea where they were going to go from there.
Yep.
I like that.
And I think with Mando this week, we all thought we knew what was going to happen, and it didn't go the way we think. So I think that's actually a great thing. Well, I'm going to hit some housekeeping real quick. We're going to take our first break. As you can tell, there's a ton to talk about. We're excited to do it. We're excited to talk to you. If you're out there, you'd see the link in the chat. Please click it. Please join us. Please be part of our 2-minute takes. Give us your thoughts on what's going on. But before we do that, I do want to hit again some of our housekeeping like we do. Make sure to follow us on the sswnetwork.com or on all your social medias at the SSW Network. You can also join our Patreon program. We are doing actually tomorrow. We have our next Around the Galaxy interview, which is coming up. And for as little as $3 a month, you can be a part of the audience when we record the podcast. And of course, you can go to our merch shop at SSW Network Shop. If you use the code till the end of the month, till next week, if you use the code SHILL20, yes, SHILL20, you will get 20% off your entire order, whether it's stickers, t-shirts, mugs, whatever you're into, you can absolutely pick it up there. Nick, before we go to break,
Yes,
we always do a toast because it's Friday night. We all have some sort of illicit alcoholic beverage in our drinks, in our hands. What do you want to toast to this week?
Well, first of all, you said illicit, and so now I feel like it means that you're drinking.
I might be.
Yeah. What's that stuff called? It's French.
Moonshine.
No, there we go. That's pretty illicit. Anyhow, yeah, your Pete's on something else. He's in goat alcohol territory.
Oh my god,
drinking goat whiskey this week. Yes, I have a toast, and it's pretty basic. It's pretty simple. It's not John Williams. I'm going to raise a glass this week to my man R5D4 because talk about deep character, fan service, Easter egg. Hey, remember that thing? But it goes back to not only the Red one, come along, Red, let's go with Luke. We get the story in the Certain Point of View book, which I loved. He shows up in, Mando season 1 with Peli. And he keeps showing up and he keeps having these moments. And I'm a droids guy. R2 has always been my favorite, but this guy right here, moving way up the list.
Yeah,
I love R5D4. And I even went back, and I know that, of course, there can be more droids in Star Wars that look the same, but I did a screenshot and I sent it to one or both of you earlier this week. And it's the briefing scene from New Hope when they're in the room and Han's leaning against the wall. And you can see the tiniest sliver in the bottom of a screen of a droid. And it's this much of R5D4's head. Now, whether they would say it's him or not, but I think he got around more than we thought he did because he was a rebellion. He was in the rebellion. He was like Chopper. Yeah. He was like R2. So I'm raising a toast this week to R5 because new close to top favorite droid, and it's just been so fun to watch him pop up and be utilized throughout this series, fan service wise. And of course, as always, I also want to raise a toast to all of our friends watching at home with us live tonight. Absinthe, by the way, is what I was trying to think of. Thanks, Angry. But I want to raise a toast to all our friends watching live right now. Those that are going to catch this on the replay, you're just as much a part of this show and this family as everybody else. So cheers and happy Star Wars.
Happy Star Wars. Yeah, it's a whiskey week. It's not a wine or beer week. It's a whiskey week. So well, we, as you can tell, we're a little fired up. We had a great start to the show, great conversation. We got a lot more to go, and we want to hear from you. We want to get all your thoughts on the show. I have some thoughts, and so when we come back, we're going to hear from the three of us on where we think the show is going from here, what that season finale means, and then we'll take your calls. But first, this break, we'll be back in just a minute with more live Star Wars conversation with Force Connect. Welcome back to Force Connect, your live Friday Star Wars conversation. If you're listening on the replay and you're wondering, hey, how can I be a part of that conversation? How can I engage with Pete and Nick and Chris, even when they're at their most ornery? I want to call in. You can do that by you can follow us on social media or go to our YouTube channel. Go to youtube.com/@the SSW Network and hit the reminder, and we'll tell you what's going on Friday nights. If you're watching, you saw in our little clip, we will not be live next Friday night. We're going to take a week off. We need to rest because there's so much Star Wars content, but you're going to want to make sure that you're still following the network, because next Thursdays Around the Galaxy, you're not going to want to miss if you are a fan of Visions and Vision Season 2, which you're not a fan of yet, but I know you're going to be. So hang in with us there. So before we go any further, I want to give a little bit of my thoughts, and then I want to hear from my partners here. I felt that the ending of this particular episode, and in fact, my dad texted me after he watched it with a similar perspective.
Did he say I was wrong about?
He did not admit to being wrong about Grief Karga. Although
I feel like
Grief Karga's innocent.
Randy should show up and atone for his sins.
Do I want to go down the road, because I still no. I'm
No,
gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go.
Thin ice.
I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna let it go. But when the episode ended, we both felt like it was the end of the Din Djarin saga. It really felt like a completed arc. And in fact, I said it on Screen Crush. I'll say it here. I said it on Twitter. It really feels like that rare time where you actually get a complete story from beginning to end. It started on Navarro looking for the bounty. It ends on Navarro with bounty in hand, but it's now both have grown. The bounty has become his son. They've become a family. They've grown. And there were other pieces along the way. There were other pieces of the story that made it a 24 chapter arc, but it feels like we're at the end. And frankly, as much as I love the show, I'm not itching for season 4 like I was at the end of season 2, waiting for season 3. Not that I don't want it, not that if it dropped tomorrow I wouldn't watch every freaking minute at 3 a.m., but I don't feel like, oh, I need that, because and that's a rarity. And I especially in streaming shows now, they end and they leave you on a cliffhanger. This ended and we're like, okay, story's over. Felt good. Chris, how did you feel about it?
It left me very much. It left me 100% in two directions. If they don't do any more, but they have him like jumping show every once in a while, we'll get comics maybe on him or a book or something like that on them. I'm like, cool. If they continue the series, cool. Because they didn't. It didn't just end. They left it open for so much more.
Sure. Yep.
So I mean, it may not have been a cliffhanger, but there's a clean slate now that they can get back to sort of the style of like the first season, but still with him being connected to the larger part of the universe. So yeah, I think that maybe they should wait another couple of years for the series. Like let some of these other shows help to flesh out this the Filoni, the Favreau verse or whatever, and just keep fleshing this out. I'm so excited for this era in Star Wars, between 7 and 8. I'm sorry, between 6 and 7. Like I was between 4 and 5. Like I love that we're getting all that content from Charles Soule and Ethan Sachs and all them right now. So yeah, it's fertile ground. Keep just keep going and building things up. There's so many more traditions that can come out of this, but Star Wars tradition. But yeah, I'm excited to see where they go. Whether or not he, like I said before, shows up in any of the other different shows. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for the future, and I'm glad that I have no idea what's coming.
Right. That's a nice thing too, right? You're not like, and again, that was one of the biggest expectations. I think season 2 ended, and the Book of Boba Fett episodes encouraged us to think that season 3 is going to be about the journey to the living waters, and they were like, "Oh no, we're done with that. We're going to do something else." And that was that expectation that hurt a lot of people, I think, and which is strange, because you should think like, what, for an impatient fan base to get the answer to the living waters question in 2 episodes and then be getting more of the story, shut up and take it, right? I mean, I don't
Nope.
mean to be that negative, but that's the reality, right?
Gotta complain about something.
Well, Nick, you and I were
Something
talking,
happy.
and I think you had you put it together as well in a text to me and to Chris, but you noticed something about a couple things, really interesting things about all three seasons into one story. Why don't you share that with us?
Absolutely. And it really it feeds into exactly what both of you said. And then after I kind of run through this real quick, I'll give, what I think is coming next. But I think you said it first, Pete. This gave us, a completed story over the course of these 3 seasons.
Yep.
So much so that kind of stuck in my head. I was ruminating about it. And as I said to you, I think in the text, I'm sure someone else has had this little string of thoughts that I'm about to lay out for everybody. I'm not saying this is originally mine, but I didn't get it from anybody else either. It just stuck with me as the kind of Star Wars fan and nerd that I am, which is, as we all know, George Lucas, The Hero's Journey, Joseph Campbell
is a PowerPoint presentation. This is
I did. I came prepared with a very, very
will there be a
brief
quiz?
like
that is my question. Will this be on the test?
No quizzes. No quizzes. But
my anxiety
we
started
know
shooting
that
through the roof.
we know that George Lucas, in the core of the storytelling that created this, along with spaghetti westerns, which were very prevalent certainly in the first season of this show, he's an adherent of Joseph Campbell. He's an adherent of the hero's journey and this, the myth, the monomyth, that kind of deal. So what occurred to me as I thought back through the steps of, what the traditional Campbell hero's journey is through the course of these 3 seasons of this show, Din Djarin traveled every single step of this hero's journey. And I just want to run through it real quick in case somebody's watching or listening, you don't know what those steps are. And there's, different wordings of it. It follows the same kind of path that Campbell taught, as a professor. But the first step right off the bat, and it's 3 subcategories. The first subcategory is departure. The first step in departure is ordinary world. The character, the hero, in this case, Din Djarin, is living his ordinary life. He's a bounty hunter. He travels around. He's seemingly good at it. We get the opening shot in season 1 at that bar when he goes to get Space Horatio Sands. We get the hero shot of him walking into the bar. And that's his reputation. You're really good at this. I can bring you in warm. I can bring you in cold. The whole deal. So that's his ordinary world. That's where he lives. That's what he does. Step 2 in that category of departure is the call to adventure, or the call of adventure. What we get early on in the show is he's got a new bounty, but this one doesn't have a puck. This one doesn't have a whatever, just has a chain code. We get the big, reveal at the end of the episode. It's a baby Yoda. What the hell? That call to adventure is him going out on this new big job, turning him in, getting the money, doing what it is that he does as a part of that ordinary life. Step 3, it's the refusal of the call. He turns the baby in. He has a moment, though, where he hesitates, and we see it, and they do such a good job imagery-wise, the ball that Grogu keeps unscrewing from inside the Razor Crest and playing with it. He gets back in the ship. We have that shot of him checking it out, reminding him, oh, hey, I need to go. This wasn't right. I shouldn't do it. So he refuses the call. He challenges against the thing that he accepted, the initial mission he takes on. Step 4, under departure, meeting the mentor. We have 2 key parts of this. We have Kuil, who was a huge mentor for him, taught him things, spoke to him in a way that other people didn't speak to him, based on his past, based on where, he's going, that kind of thing. And then we have the armor, and the armor is that mysterious figure, but is a mentor. It's somebody that holds a place of honor. He goes to her immediately. He gets the Beskar. Hey, here's the deal. There's a deference there to, this is the person I'm supposed to lean into teaching me things. This is the way. That's where we pick up the creed. So we have that. And again, these are under that first of the 3 categories, departure. Step 5, crossing the first threshold. This is when he goes back. He's changed. He has the hesitation. He refuses the call in the ship. He decides, I've got to go back and rescue this kid. I can't do this thing. So then when he crosses that first threshold, that's when the character has changed. That's when their journey is taking a turn. And he goes back into those buildings to fight those remnant stormtroopers. He goes back in there to rescue this kid. We get the heroic battle in the streets with the Mandos that show up from the covert, show themselves. Who turned them in during that scene, Pete? I don't remember who kind of betrayed him. And you're muted, but that's okay because you were going to say Grief Karga and Chris was going to lose his mind. But that's not important. Joseph Campbell didn't care that Grief Karga actually is not a bad guy. I wish y'all could see.
He might be.
He is. Nope.
He might be.
Don't do that to Chris. Oh, there he goes. Anyhow, let me get back to this. So the departure, he crosses the first threshold. He's a changed person. He's heading in a new direction. He goes back to rescue the kid because he's had a change of heart. The second phase of this, the second kind of category, initiation. After we have departure, we have initiation. Step 6, tests, allies, enemies. Excuse me. This is where he's meeting people. He's meeting Cobb Vanth. He meets Cara Dune, who starts out as an enemy, who becomes an ally. He meets Ahsoka. He meets Gideon. He meets Space Bill Burr and, the crowd of bad guys with the prison escape. We have the spiders. We have random enemies attacking him, trying to get the kid because the kid is still a wanted bounty. So a part of this journey is his way through these different steps. What are the things that strengthen him along the way? He's changed, but he's still learning, growing, experiencing the world in a different way because of the change he went through. So that's that step 6, tests, allies, enemies. Step 7, initiation. Also under initiation, approach to the inmost cave. This is the cleansing moment. This is the time where he reaches the Holy of Holies. This is the part where he goes, and for us, it's in this season. He ends up, he seeks the waters in Mandalore. In the Book of Boba Fett episode, when the armorer tells him, you're no longer clean, you have to go be redeemed. So he's made this approach to do this thing. He needs to be changed. He needs to be absolved of his sins, of his problems, of his issues. This is kind of the core part of his transition. That was step 7, approach to the inmost cave. Step 8, the ordeal. You're going to come through that change, but you still got to deal with stuff. You still got to deal with mess. So we have a couple of different phases of this ordeal. Of course, in the earlier season, we have Grogu getting captured and Mando rescuing him. On the other side of that coin, as we get in this finale, we get Din getting captured and Grogu being a part of the rescue and rescuing him in his walking Krang from Ninja Turtles IG-11 suit. And IG-12, I'm sorry. But that's a part of the ordeal. That's a part of that thing that shapes and tests and certainly strengthens Din, the hero himself. But in this case, he's got a sidekick. He's got his buddy that's along with him. Step 9, the reward. He's come through the ordeal, and we have the reward. We have a reunited Mandalore, which was something big that, they were all headed towards, that he was a part of because this culture means so much to him. But he also chooses to adopt his ward. He chooses to adopt Grogu and bring him in. And there's no hesitation. There's no, point for him to go, maybe I shouldn't. I'm a bounty hunter. He's like, no, this is my kid. Like somebody said, it's kind of like people have been referring to him as your kid all along. He's making it official. That's something that's a reward for him.
Right.
And so we come through that. Step 10, we get into the third of our categories. Step 10 under the category return is the road back. You've gone through this journey. You've been changed. You've done all those things. Now you're returning to where you came from. What we get to see in this, the road back takes them through a Delphi base. He meets up with another ally, Carson Teva, and he meets with him. They talk about, hey, look, you're going to need me. I'm going to need you. Let's work together. We're laying the groundwork for a future. And kind of similarly along that, you also get the reward. He gets the droid head that we're going to get to see in step 11, which is resurrection. And while it's not Din's resurrection, Din is connected to the resurrection of IG-11 because this series started out with him very intentionally skeptical of droids, didn't like droids, no droids, you can't fix my ship. But again, this is a changed character.
Yep.
This is someone who has had a change of heart and is also making resurrections and changing things to benefit others. He's helping his friend, Grief Karga, who he does respect, unlike Pete. And he is giving them the security that was also mentioned in the first episode of this season. You need a marshal. I can't do it. But there's a resurrection that is not only the physical representation or embodiment of IG-11, but the resurrection in his heart of his character and who he is as a person. And then the final step of this, as we kind of get through, this super condensed version of the Campbellian hero's journey, is the return with the elixir. This is the ultimate reward. He's returned to his quote unquote normal life, but he's changed. Something is different. And so what he has now is he has a home, he has a kid, he has a future that has been laid in the groundworks with the conversation with Teva on the base. And he's a new person heading on a new journey. And that journey cycle could start all over again because people continue to grow and evolve and change. But what it does is it literally takes us all the way through this series, hitting each of these steps along the way in order to return him to ordinary life, but a new version of ordinary life. And sometimes, when you need that elixir is that thing that relaxes you, calms you down, puts you in a better state of mind. This is probably the first time since the Sanctuary episode when we saw him flirt with the idea of what if I stayed here, hung out, put down roots. He's sitting on this porch with his feet kicked up. That's not a Din Djarin position that we have seen at any other point in the show. He's had the elixir. His soul is calm. He's at peace with his kid. He's not being chased. So he's a changed, completely different character. And then just to add a little button on that, and this isn't so much about Campbell as it is where I feel like the rest of this is going, we get this shot to end the episode. The famous iris wipe. It zooms in. It pauses over Grogu for a minute. We see him, they're both in frame. That's important. And then it closes out. And of course, there are a bunch of people losing their mind because, well, the internet. Well, that's dumb. They don't do that. It looks like Looney Tunes. It looks like whatever. Well, let me tell you a secret, friends. This is how Star Wars, as I like to call it, Star Wars in 1977 ended. That happy little medal ceremony ended with this exact same circle wipe. Yep. That movie that came out in 1999, The Phantom Menace, that celebration, right after what Boss Nass holds up the globe and yells peace, ends like this, circle wipe. Force Awakens, Luke Skywalker on top of the mountain with Rey, stunning music, gorgeous visuals, circle wipe. This is intentional, and this is done, I think, to tell us that these 3 seasons wrap up this first part of a trilogy of the story of Din Djarin and Grogu. I think it's telling us, okay, this part of that journey is completed. That Campbellian thing, and so where that goes from now is they're heading out into a new adventure. We know there's a season 4 coming at some point. I agree. We don't have to have it right away. Yeah. But the next phase of this TV show trilogy, this Mandoverse, because we know there's a movie coming. What if the middle part of this is Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew, maybe Mando season 4 down the road, and then the third part of this trilogy is the movie. And we get the entire 3 groups of this. What if, because it was also introduced as a possibility, what if Mando season 4 is basically Rangers of the New Republic? I'm so happy for Paul Sun-Young Lee that Carson Teva is going to be back and they're going to be working together. They introduce a marshal. Cobb Vanth is still chilling in a tank somewhere. That man's coming back too, and I can't wait for it. That becomes
they're not going to like this.
There's another part of that coming back. You know who's not coming back? We don't have to talk about that.
IG-11 is still a much better actor than the previous Marshall. Sorry.
But so that's ultimately my point. That's my little, pseudo scholarly sidetrack, which is we get with this character an entire arc of this thing that is central and core to George Lucas storytelling. And George Lucas didn't write this story, but Dave Filoni apprenticed directly under George Lucas and knows it better than anybody else does. Yeah. And this is ingrained in the DNA of what Star Wars is. And it really made me happy to look at that, think about this, and just see how these pieces plug in. And I couldn't be more excited to go, wow, we got a complete story there, a complete journey, as you will.
Yep.
And the next thing, and honestly, it's a lesson for me. I exactly like you were with Last Jedi, the way I was, like I said, with this episode on Wednesday morning. I'm so excited to go into the next Star Wars thing, Ahsoka, and just watch it. Like, of course, I'm going to talk about it. Of course, I'm going to be looking for stuff, but I'm going to work really hard to not be as expectation, because that's my flaw. And I know that as the kind of Star Wars fan I am. I'm really excited to come into it and go, damn, more Star Wars. How lucky am I?
Absolutely. And I absolutely, and I think
I turn the floor over to you, gentlemen.
Yeah, no, the reason I think that's so important and really worth digging into, like you did, is because it does remind us that it's if you look at it as just episode to episode to episode, Yeah, it's fun, but if you look at it as a bigger story, and I love the connection that you just made and the observation you made about the closing wipe and what that means and where this becomes a trilogy, and I think that's brilliant. But again, I want to be careful though not to set my expectation to follow you on that because it's so good. But it really makes a lot of sense, and it's really cool when you pull out those points that the reason that the hero's journey works and the reason all that that has become sort of the way of the way of telling good stories is because there's a direct connection, there's a historical connection, and George knew it. Chris, any comments before we go to our break and then come back with our callers?
Yeah, people should really try to pay attention to the larger picture.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You know, to me, that doesn't seem like, you know, asking for too much, but you know, if you know what, like, there's one pick on that slide, the very last one that I wanted to talk about real quick, and talking about growth. Grogu doesn't eat the frog.
Thank
Correct.
you. Yep.
Back.
He's playing with it. Yep.
Yeah, and Bloop puts it back as it you know, as it goes back out. That's to show his growth.
Yep.
But people want to focus on
But I think people need to recall and recognize and realize that Filoni is I hate the word choiceful. It's a dumb word. I don't even know if it's a real word, but I've heard a lot of people use it. But everything in those episodes is a choice. Everything that's presented is a choice. Again, 38-minute finale. Everybody's going all crazy because it's only 38 minutes. But you know what? You put 7 and 8 together, you get one solid story from Rick Fumiyama.
Well, and again, think about all the minds that were lost after the first episode at whatever point it was. Maybe the second episode, whatever episode it was, where he's like, I need to go get the memory core for IG-11 because I need him.
Yep.
Never heard another word about it. And all through the season, people are losing their damn mind.
Yep.
There's still a seed planted for a reason. There's still a thing happening. There's a plan for it. And let's also remember, and this is the other thing that hit me maybe this afternoon, go back and watch. I think it's the very first gallery episode after the very first season of Mandalorian. Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau said, we wrote a show based on what we did as kids playing with our action figures. Tell me that's not what this last episode of this show was. You had droids flying away and pushing each other off a cliff. You had Mandalorians flying through ships with laser swords. Like, this is fun. Guys, seriously, this is fun.
Fucking chill and have. I'm sorry. Ooh,
Angry's right. Chekhov's droid.
Yep.
First act, last act, baby. Shoot that thing.
It all comes together, right? Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, we're going to take our next break, and when we come back, we're going to be taking your calls. We've put the link in the chat. We'll put it up again during this break. Join us. Tell us what you think. Comment on Nick's lecture if you like. Tell us what you thought of it. If you didn't like it, here's the deal. That's totally cool. We want to hear why. So we'll be back in just a minute with more Force Connect Live on Friday nights.
I woke up this morning and I thought, oh no, it's Monday. This sucks. And then I thought, oh, you know what? We get the Mandalorian season finale this week. And then I thought, oh no, lots of complaining. I don't want to hear any of it, all right? Let's enjoy the show. So the season 3 finale of Mandalorian is tomorrow, which means one thing. It means I've been doing this bit for about 8 weeks already. Time flies when you're having fun, right? Oh man, this is taking forever. Hey, so the Mandalorian season finale was today, and I'm not gonna lie, it brought a tear to Watto's eye. I kind of always saw that being sort of the same ending for me and Little Annie. Well, yeah, what are you gonna do? Hey, you weren't one of those people that was upset by Din Djarin's surname being Din and that it came before his given name, because you are going to be in for quite a surprise when you go to Star Wars Celebration in Japan. No doubts about that, huh? So this daily video thing is going pretty good, I think, yeah? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up to take your questions, your comments, and I'll respond right here on Deli Watto. And so I tell you what, leave your comments here, or better yet, if you want to follow me on Twitter, they let me get a Twitter account. What do you say to that, huh? Well, you can follow me at Real Deli Watto. There's already some Deli Watto guy. I don't know anything about him. I'm not going to bother. He looks like he's got a gun. So anyway, have a great day, and leave me a comment, and perhaps I'll respond to you.
I'm a Toydarian.
You know, can I just say, I don't want to say I miss Clanker because I don't want to like cause a problem and, you know, him show up at us everywhere and start giving us attitude.
Right.
But I didn't realize that Watto had gotten as much leash as he had gotten. That now he's got a Twitter handle. Like, this man he's taken over. I'm proud, but I'm surprised.
The problem is he has arms, whereas Clanker's only got the head. That's all we got left. He's got off. He found the laptop. He logged in. I can't stop it. I can't stop
like
it.
When the Raptors learned to open doors in Jurassic Park.
Clever girl. Clever girl. Yeah. So hey, we have a lot left to talk about. We want to hear from all of you, and so hey, why don't we just dig right in? Remember, we have our little 2-minute takes. So we're gonna put the clock on you when you're talking, but we definitely want to hear from you. So Nick, let's bring our first caller in.
Go for Papa Palpatine.
You have a collect call from
Darth Vader.
I gotta take this. Hold on.
The streak is alive. Angry Tasty Cakes is on the screen and hanging out with us on this Friday night. How you doing, my friend?
And upsetting expectations that, as Jeff said in the private chat, swapping leadoff hitters tonight.
I just need a moment to bask in this for a moment. I just
gotta
get into character.
Your time has come, you know. Just take your lap. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing okay. I'm a combination of jovial and pissed off at the same time.
You're me.
Yes.
Chris, angry Chris.
Hear me out. Okay, so
are you are you ready for your hot take? Because I'm gonna start your timer.
No, because you're going to be mad about this too, and this isn't a hot take. It has to do with celebration. I promise I'll be brief.
Okay.
Friday night, celebration kicked off. They unlocked the damn online store. I go in, I place an order for that 40th anniversary Return of the Jedi jacket. They take my damn money. I wake up Saturday morning, they refunded and canceled the order. Turns out they never had them in stock, but yet the hosts, they all have them. They all, yeah.
No.
And I'm happy because, you know, Musk's rocket blew up and, you know, Axe Woves got farther up in the air.
Dude, that was the tweet of the day. I had to retweet it.
Sure.
That was fantastic.
So,
all right, get in the starting blocks because we're going to put you in for your 2-minute hot take. Are you ready? Here we go.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Lightning round. Okay. I liked it. I didn't like it. I liked it. Didn't like it. I panicked when I saw the Praetorians going in there to mess with Grogu, and I felt like Will Smith going, damn, you know? And I liked seeing the Mandalorians actually like utilize most of their training when they were engaging the Imperial Super Commandos. I really enjoyed that. We got to see their fighting doctrine again, and it just evolves every time. I really feel like if this is the middle point of the actual series, I think we're going to end on season 5, and that's going to kick off right with The Force Awakens. Because if okay, that's one side of the coin. The other side of the coin is if they end it here, I'm good. This season was like the KOTOR remake, right? If it happens, awesome. If it ends, cool. I got the original. I'm good with that. So I don't know. I'm kind of split. I loved some things, didn't like others. The whole like what was it, platoon scene with Moff Gideon there at the end where he like raises his hands and then blows up. I was like, all right, well, tongue in cheek. I kind of appreciated it. I appreciated the knee rockets. That was a fun little callback there. Yeah, wow, 40 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
You
guys like sandwiches? I love sandwiches. I can't.
I'm still riding my Call of Duty high right now. I just got off. So I'm just Yeah, no, I'm okay. I think I'm kind of at peace whether or not it continues, which we know it will. But even if something were to arise and it doesn't, I'm okay. You know, like I feel very zen Star Wars Battlefront 2 Luke right now. Just very like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very different ending, and even like I said, streaming shows broadly.
That scared me. Wow. Okay.
Sorry. We gotta let you know when that 2 minutes is up. But the it's interesting, and I'm glad to hear that I'm not the only one who, when I thought about it, that the end of the season was not like, okay, this is good. I feel like closure. It's the first time I've watched a Star Wars and felt like I've had closure since Return of the Jedi, I think. Yeah. So
yeah. If I could comment on this, and Angry, I want to hear from you on this as well. We were talking about this last night when I was on Bombad Cast, and we were talking about this Mando finale. And what's that dude's name again?
Fraser? Adam
Fraser.
Yeah.
He brought up something, and you can see my mind be blown in real time when he was talking about like Gideon. Maybe Gideon didn't die. Maybe that was his clone that was in that armor. You know, like he was. You know, we know Gideon. Like, you know, the hairstyle was different. He had the mustache, and this Gideon looked just like the Gideons. You know, those clones. So if that's the case, I think the real one is still out there, and I think that's brilliant. I think that's amazing.
So Moff Gideon is not the new Jorah Sabath?
Gideon? Yeah, well, he probably just died.
Gideon.
Gideon. You know. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Angry?
I like the thought behind it, but I'm not entirely sold because, okay, now I know my 2 minutes is up, but please bear with me. So I like the idea behind it, but I don't buy it quite yet because if they were this early in the cloning, memory transference, right? Because like Palpatine's clone still has all the memories of his previous bodies and stuff like that. Right. But one could attribute that to having the ability to use the Force, right? He might have used the Force to kind of bring that into that new body. Gideon doesn't have that, right? So his original body couldn't project any of those memories. So like, I like the idea, and I like the idea of him cloning himself because let's be honest, he's a narcissist, and it fits that personality, and I like that. But I'm not 100% sold on it because if this cloning was so new at the time for Force users in general, something was going to mess up somewhere. Like if the Kaminoans couldn't perfect that over 1,000 years, what made them any different comparatively to a ragtag Imperial conglomerate essentially in 4 years? Does that make sense?
I mean, I think they stood on the shoulders of what came before them as far as the research goes, and you know, like Pershing and all that helped. So maybe he found something that the Kaminoans didn't.
And that's where I'm like, I like that idea. I'm not quite sold on it yet.
Nice.
But who knows? Who knows if they were even Force sensitive? We would have,
never known.
Yeah.
We'll never know now because they just blew him up.
Yeah.
That's right.
Awesome. Pull the Geo, drop the moon on him.
That's right. Drop that moon right on him. Yeah. Angry, always good to see you, my friend. We will be off next week. Your streak will still count. Everything will still be intact. And we'll see you in a couple weeks, and we'll talk about some more fun stuff.
Yeah, and just to make Eric mad, I'm actually going to be posting an ode to Geode on Twitter. Feel free to check that out. Okay,
we will definitely check that out. Excellent,
nice.
All right, my friend.
Awesome. See you, buddy.
All right, man.
All right. I think we have time for one more call before the next break. And then when we come back after that, we'll keep the calls going. The link is in the chat. So if you want to join us, please do. But we are about to bring in our next caller. We just want a good intro. Here we go.
Hello. What have we here?
There he is.
JD.
The man back from Celebration.
My man.
Back in the land of American beer, that kind of stuff.
Hey, the British beer wasn't bad at all. It was good stuff.
I believe it.
Was it
Totally
truly
did.
room temperature, like they all say?
No.
Okay,
not
good.
at all.
All right, JD, we're gonna put you up on the clock. We know that you are a Patreon member, but we gotta play fair, so we're gonna hit that clock. Are you ready?
I'm okay. Yeah, go for it. I got
Okay.
it. I got it in my head. Go for
He's
it.
ready to go. He's got it.
I'm ready to go.
All right,
JD's
here we
a
go.
game day player.
All right, man. What are your thoughts?
3 key things. One, we owe not only Grief Karga, but we also owe the armor a huge apology.
Yeah,
Because
Yes, we do.
she,
And so
in my opinion, was just bad to the bone. Because
yeah.
not only did she have her tools to kick people's butt, but she had her jetpack, and I just thought that was just awesome.
flying around with that just a freaking hammer and tongs and taking dudes out of the sky. Loved it. It was cool.
She is awesome.
Yeah.
So we owe her a huge apology for thinking that she was the spy.
Yes.
And 2, you guys were talking about the clones of Gideon. That part I wasn't sold on either. I would have been happier if they would have just kept it as they were just trying to make force-sensitive clones generic or whatever. The fact that they looked like him and were going to act like him or whatever, I was kind of like, I'm not. I wasn't really sold on that. I wasn't really sold on that. I didn't think it was. It just wasn't for me. And the third thing is I am going to stop purchasing toys that have to do with Star Wars shows because I purchased the freaking Razor Crest and they blew it up.
Yeah.
I got me a Darksaber and they broke it and it's no longer good anymore. I'm going to stop buying toys from these shows.
No. It's
All right, so here's a question for JD, and I paused the timer since I inserted myself into his time. The destroyed Darksaber. I love that happened because, of course, symbolically, it's the old way to rule, the new way for them to come together, that kind of thing. But that said, this is a society that values technology, weapons, advancements. Do you think that the Darksaber gets reforged in some way?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think it will. I think that, like you said, I was thinking the same thing. I understand why they did it as far as the context of the story is concerned, because you saw the Mythosaur wake up again, and looks like it was actually going to wake up for good. Where after the Darksaber was destroyed, now it's a new way for one of them or Bo-Katan to claim the throne in a more traditional way. So I understood the context of it. It's just that it is just ironic that I bought it, they destroyed it. I bought the Razor Crest, they destroyed it. I'm like, I'm done buying stuff, man, because they come out with cool crap and gets destroyed.
I've said it before, and I said it before. I love telling this story. When I interviewed Hal Hickel, it was literally the night before the episode where it got the Razor Crest got blown up, the tragedy, and he let me go on. We were talking off air after we were done. I was like, so I got to tell you, I love the Razor Crest. It feels very Millennium Falcon. It feels like it's a character in the show. And he's just like, yeah. And literally the next day, kaboom, it was gone. So I feel it. But,
it isn't like there ain't other things you don't purchase as a toy that they don't blow up or somebody dies off. I'm not upset that I still own, like hand figures and things like that, and I proudly display my Razor Crest. But at the same time, it's like, guys, throw me a bone here. Come on. I'm afraid there's going to be a third one. I'm just.
What if they make a destroyed? Because I will buy it because I'm an idiot. But what if they make a destroyed Darksaber hilt?
Yep.
they're going to.
It's like
robot.
It's like a Sildor's sword. It's like a Sildor's blade.
It's like Vader's helmet.
And I just had an epiphany too. I actually purchased the vintage series N1 Starfighter, so now that's going to it's done. Gone. Bye bye.
Thanks, JD. Way
See ya.
to go.
Yep. There's another one.
Way to go. Thanks to JD, the N1 will be destroyed. Well,
and I like that Jeff noticed the full armory that that JD has behind him.
Right. Yeah. Are you gonna miss
there.
it? Are you? Holy cow! My goodness.
That's only half the collection there, fellas.
Unreal.
That's what I'm talking about, man. I'm trying to grow my saber collection now. I only have 7.
Helmet.
Yeah.
Last time I counted, I think I have 38 of them. I think.
Goodness.
My gosh.
Wow.
Yeah.
I am
Wow,
so
wow,
far
wow.
behind.
Wow.
Come on, Chris. Amateur.
Yeah, I gotta get my shit together.
Get to it. Oh, there you
Oh,
go. A little bit of High Republic action.
Stellan Skarsgård, right?
Yeah, that's what Stellan Skarsgård. Yep. Was he the guy who
Roller
played it?
skateboard? That's him.
Yeah. Well, JD, thank you very much for calling in, my friend. Always love hearing from you. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear from Eric and Jeff and anybody else who wants to call in. JD, we're so glad to see you back from Star Wars Celebration. We'll see you guys.
Cheers, fellas.
Cheers.
Have a great night.
Good
All
night,
right, brother.
And we are back. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you're listening to this on Monday or someday thereafter, make sure to go over to youtube.com/@the-SSW network and subscribe so that you can join us live on Friday nights and get the opportunity to call in with your thoughts on whatever we're talking about. It's going to be a dry, well, I was going to say it's going to be a dry couple weeks, but that's not true. We have Jedi Survivor coming out. We have the young Tales, was it Young Jedi Tales or Young Jedi Tales? Yeah, and of course
Young Jedi Adventures.
Young Jedi Adventures, right? Because it's adventures.
And
then
what's the other thing, Pete?
Visions.
Oh, okay.
2.
Yeah.
Yes, Visions 2. So we will have some stuff to talk about, and we're going to want to hear from you directly. And speaking of which, Nick, let's bring in our next caller.
Hello.
Eric Elliott in the house.
It is going to be a sad day, the day that he or Tasty Cakes loses the streak. It's going to happen. And I hope it's not soon, but it's going to be a sad day. How you doing, Eric?
It's going to be like a power outage or something.
One thing I want to say is that Fabroloni sounds like an amazing pasta dish.
It does. I'm kind of hungry now. Yeah.
Yep. I'll take some.
Tonight's special is a Favrilloni.
And any geode is good in my book. It's not going to upset me, Mr. Angry Tasty Cakes.
I love this rivalry that's being built.
Yeah,
he's mad at me. I'm chill.
Thing going on here.
He's angry in his name.
It's got it. It's true, right? It's not Angry Elliot. It's Eric Elliott. So, but Eric, how you doing, man? Before I start the clock,
I'm doing pretty good. And before you asked about when's next Honest to Cloud, May's coming up, and I'm going to be seeing my dad. We should be recording an episode 2, maybe 3, when I go see him.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
I love that. I love that you're recording with your dad. As you know, me and my dad have. Well, my dad actually he hosted. Was it episode 150 or something for Around the Galaxy and interviewed me. So it is awesome that you're experiencing Star Wars with your dad. And I can tell you as a guy who experienced Mandalorian, it's with my son this past week. I will say my son had a similar thought as we all did, at least the three of us on the screen. When it ended, he said, "Is the Mandalorian over?" And I was like, this season. And so he got that same sort of sense. So Eric, I'm going to start the clock, and I am excited to hear your thoughts on anything, but probably Mandalorian finale. So here we go.
All right, this past episode, I wanted to love it, but I didn't again. And it's not because I had when I have expectations, I can put them at the door. when I go watch something.
Mhm.
I'm like, I still have them in the back of my brain, but I'm not constantly thinking about it. But what disappointed me is just like when there's a bunch of fighting, I'm like, I don't feel like any emotional weight.
Right.
Like when the Praetorian guards were coming out to Grogu, I'm like, oh, he's gonna be all right.
I had that same thought. Yeah.
And
I was
like
not worried.
when there was all these explosions and all these buzzing around the Mandalorians, I'm like, oh, that's cool looking. That's how I felt. But what upset me the most in this episode is I thought that Mandalorian's character, like Din Djarin, like I think in this season, like it culminated and it just feels kind of shallow. Like it feels like his character is really meandering and not really taking steps to like really change himself. Because Armor was like, "Hey, you're like a kid to him," and he's just like, "Oh, I'm his dad now." I'm like, "Well, yeah, we've known that for like 2.5 seasons that you're his new dad." I didn't like the cloning and the Gideons, but I understand that he's a narcissist. But at the same time, I don't see it's in his character to destroy the Darksaber, because I see him as like someone that's really obsessive about collecting trinkets, and like he's like he's an appropriator. He's like a weeb. He just gets all this stuff, and I'm just like, he just destroys it. I'm just like, for a different character, that makes more sense. I'm like, if Kylo Ren did that, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But I'm like, Gideon, no. And I cannot stand the jump scare of the eyes opening. It is the worst thing I've seen in this entire series. I'm sorry. Whoever
like it, or
I'm sorry to you.
Did it freak you? Did you, were you scared by it, or you just didn't like the concept?
I wasn't scared by it. I was just like, please don't do it. Please don't do it. And then I rolled my eyes and I'm just like,
Eric,
now, I'm usually very positive about Star Wars. I have a big well of like accepting things that are goofy and weird, but this I can't follow. I'm sorry.
Once again, you've made a connection to my son. When that happened, my son was sitting there and he said he's going to open his eyes, going to open his eyes, going to open his eyes, and he did it. And he goes, "Yep," he opened his eyes. So it was telegraphed, I think is a way to put it for sure. But
well, exactly. And I was going to say, I think for me, we were all watching it thinking that same thing. Where it, I guess, hurt my feelings. That's not really the phrase I want, but where it really hurt my feelings was seeing it scare Grogu as a dad, watching him like freak out and the droid kind of like stumble, at that reaction to it. That hit me in the dad feels more than it did me. Because we knew it was coming. We saw it coming a mile away. But,
just scare him a few more times, and then we'll get Grogu Destroyer.
That's right.
Just push him over the
fear
edge.
Is the path to the dark side. Don't you know this?
That's it. Haven't you people learned anything?
Yeah, and I also I don't use this word a lot, but I cringed when Gideon shouted out "the Force." I'm just like, oh god. I love Giancarlo Esposito. I can't stand that line delivery. I'm sorry, man.
That's totally fair. That's totally fair. I mean, it's
he
again,
just lost all of his kids. He's gonna be like the Force. No, he's gonna be like the Force. You jerk! You killed all my knees. How could you?
As soon as
and I'm not even the me because he's a clone too.
As soon as Din Djarin becomes a cop, he immediately starts racially profiling in one episode, and then he just starts killing people extrajudiciously.
Oh no! Oh my gosh. Well, we will not be on next week, Eric, so we're gonna miss you next week. But
you get streak credit for that.
Yeah, it's like it's like an off day
streak by
during the season.
Yep.
So
it's an away game.
But Eric, thank you so much for hanging out. Thanks for being patient in the back, and I love your points of view as always. And can't wait for more.
And thank you for sharing them.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for letting me on. Have a great night.
All right, buddy.
See you.
See you.
Here's what I like about that. I like that this is a space where if you don't like it, you can come on and you can say so. And we say it all the time. You don't have to like everything. You just have to not be an asshole about it. That's really all it takes.
And Eric is the
so
farthest thing from, and it's
100%.
and I love
100%.
that because there is so much. You're right. There are channels that Nick, you and I are familiar with that just like they spend literally 4 hours complaining without really having a good reason for it. And this is the great, and I say it on Twitter, and I say it here, and I love this about Eric is he doesn't in this case. And look, he likes a lot of the stuff, most of the stuff,
absolutely.
But when he doesn't, he's got a reason for it, and it's totally. It's not like, oh, it sucks. I mean, that's not critique.
It's thought out. He has his reasons, and that's totally fair. And that's what, and this is what we've talked about for more times than any of us have time to recount. Is that's what it means. That's what critique actually is. That's what art criticism is, because this is art. At the end of the day, this is somebody's artistic interpretation of a story. And the thing with art is subjective. The three of us on this screen are very different people from very different backgrounds with very different life experiences. And we will find common ground in this stuff, and we will part ways on stuff. And it doesn't mean that we're at war with one another. It doesn't mean that one of us is more right than one another, other than that one thing that we're still not talking about.
All right.
But what it means, see how I'm kind of trying to subtly shift to your side before I come to Philly this summer, Chris? So I'm trying to make sure, although whose house am I staying at? I've gotten myself into a little bit of a predicament here.
That's true. Don't forget.
But ultimately, and again, hats off to Eric for being able to have thoughtful criticism for something that he may not have enjoyed, being able to come and share it, and for us to be able to go, yeah, totally. I can see how you feel that way.
Yep.
And we need more of that. We need more Erics in this fandom, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's great when you can have I mean, every time I talk about, you guys know, every time I talk about Rise of Skywalker, I caveat the hell out of everything I'm about to say, but yikes. So, okay, well, hey, we have another caller, and we did put the link in the chat once again. If you want to join us, please do so. But in the meantime, let's what happened? What did I miss? Was there a comment?
Just a comment. Woodsy had a good one.
Woodsy. Okay. All right. Hey, here we go with our next caller.
And who might you be?
I just want to say before he says anything, it's so appropriate. Pete's picking the video intros tonight for the callers.
I was about to go here, Nick.
It's so appropriate that he picked Cobb, not only because Cobb's got our Southern Space Marshal hero thing going on, but at my strong urging, Jeff is currently working his way through Deadwood right now. So
nice.
To get the Marshal himself as Jeff's caller intro was 100% appropriate.
That's so funny, Nick, because as soon as I saw that, I was like, Seth Bullock giving me a nice intro here. Space Bullock, I guess we could call him.
Space Bullock, yeah.
That's it, Space Bullock.
So how are you doing?
Thank you for Deadwood. That is, it's been a long week at work, only having a couple hours sleep every night because I'm
plowing through a TV show.
Yeah, because I can't just put it on over dinner because it's not like it's a G-rated show, so there's only certain times I can put said show.
Some languages. All right, Jeff, we're going to start the clock on you if you're ready. Are you ready?
Always ready, Pete.
I knew you were. Here we go.
Got notes. Love it. Go.
All right, so my opinion of the finale, Nick and I talked about this the other night over some brown liquor. That was nice, Nick. Enjoyed that. But I thought it was just a good old-fashioned season finale of a show. It ended on a high note. I was happy when it was over. If it ends like that, so be it. I'm good with it. If there's more adventures for him, how about this, Chris? Din and Grogu continue their adventures in comic books.
Oh,
yeah.
And then
floppy picture books. I love it.
Yes, and then they show up later on in other things, but there's not a dedicated show for them. Their adventures continue in comic books. Can't believe I'm saying that, but I'm fully there.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was one of my first thoughts.
Yes. So I liked the in-air fighting. Eric said, there wasn't really a emotional attachment to it. Agreed.
Was
But
fun.
the choreography in air and their fighting style in the air, I thought was really cool watching them fight with their jetpacks and the way
the
maneuvering,
armor
like
with
the
hammer.
armor swinging
Oh, it was so cool.
things in the air. I just thought that was
midair
cool.
hammer time, man. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I just thought that was cool as heck. The only thing that I was bummed about was when the red guards chased Grogu into that room and the doors shut. Now, we all knew Grogu was going to be fine. That was never a worry.
Right.
I wanted the doors to open and him just be standing there in the IG suit and the 3 guards just be wiped out. And him just standing there.
That would
What took you so long?
Like Yoda going crazy on the Imperial
him
guards.
hopping around the room waiting to be rescued. You know, I was a little disappointed in that. I was wanting the doors open and then him be like, "What took you so long to get in here?"
Expectations,
for me.
Jeff.
I just waxed them.
Expectations.
Yeah, that was the only expectation. I meant to leave with that, Pete. That word expectation kicks you in the balls every time. But I love the knee rockets. Star Wars is fun. My whole collection of lightsabers, I got them. They're called Two Kids. And so, and the oldest cliche, I can't remember what the cliche. Oh, the eyes popping open. You know, when you knew the eyes were popping open.
Yeah.
It's like when you're getting chased, you suddenly trip and fall over nothing.
Right.
And all the chase scene, it's a cliche like that to me. Like you knew the eyes were going to pop open. Like if they were running, you knew they were going to trip and fall if they were getting chased. So
yeah,
we all knew it was coming.
I will. You know, you're talking about cliches and expectations and things that you think you're going to see. You know, I even wrote about this in season 1, and it's still on the SSW Network website somewhere. That The Mandalorian is a video game. It presents like a video game. We've talked about it here before. You go on a mission, you beat the boss, you get your next mission, you beat the boss, you get the next mission. What I noticed this week, which was 100% literal video game, was when he was fighting those guards going through the red gates.
Yes.
He beats one, he takes the knife. He goes through the gates, he
Phantom
goes
Menace.
through. Well, yeah, but it was a video game. You know,
Yeah.
when you're playing a video game, you beat the guy, you take his weapon. You go to the next one, he gets the shield. He goes to the next one, he gets the guns. He goes, and it's just like
I
when
would
you're
play
playing
that game.
any video
Yeah,
game.
seriously.
You pick it up and you go, yes,
Yeah.
give us the Mandalorian video game for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Well,
Awesome.
I enjoyed it though.
Well,
That's
we're always thrilled to hear from you, Jeff. I do want to do this before we get you out of here. In honor of Deadwood,
I don't have a shot glass.
I've got a straight shot right here. I'm raising it for Jeff, my southern brother from another mother, hometown man.
Raise it for you guys. 700 plus subscribers.
Yeah, we hit 700. We're on our way to 1,000,
Raise
baby.
it to you guys. Yeah, love this. Love you guys, man. Good to see y'all.
Good to see you, buddy.
I got you, brother.
So glad you can hang out with us. We will see you in 2 weeks, buddy.
2 weeks. Return of the Jedi next week.
Yes,
That's right.
Next Friday.
Maybe.
Awesome. All right, man. All right, Nick, I'm seeing some different and new and additional people in the chat. You want to call a couple people out?
Absolutely. We've got some new visitors
even
tonight.
people who are not new. Let's call them all out.
I was just going to say, even if you're not new here, I'm just going to run up the list. Of course, we saw JD on screen earlier. We have Miss Vimy in the chat. Welcome. We haven't seen you here before. Finnessy, I see you here hanging in the chat. Always good to see your face, even if we don't get to see your face on screen. Woodsy bringing the hot takes all night. Angry, Jeff. Benny's been in here. Love hearing from Benny. Angry Tasty Cakes, of course. Also, another one I don't recognize, RG2088. Welcome, RG. If you're a droid, I hope you're a marshal also. If you're not, we're still glad you're here. Who else is in here? JD. I said JD already.
You can say JD 100 times.
Samir was back farther up top. Dale was here. Dale had to go to work, bailed on us. So always good to see our friends in the chat. We love hearing from all of you in the live chat. We love seeing your face on screen if you want to call in. I'll tell you something. We don't always think to mention this. If you want to call in, but you don't want to be on camera, you can turn your camera off. We'd love to hear your voice, hear your thoughts, hear your comments. We'd love to one day develop a straight up like call in on the telephone, old school sports radio caller line. We're still
let us know in the chat if that's something you'd be down with, because we would.
But in the meantime, we know not everybody's comfortable on camera, or you may not feel like you have a good camera. Whatever the deal is, if you hit that StreamYard link, you don't even have to turn your camera on. You could just turn the mic on. You could talk to us, tell us your thoughts. We want this to be the show where you have a voice in Star Wars and in this fandom. So thank you for being here. If you're watching live tonight, if you're listening to us on the podcast replay that goes out, if you're a part of the Facebook group, wherever you are, wherever you're being a part of this group, we're thankful for you, because the three of us would be more than glad to sit in the void and talk Star Wars just with each other. But it's better when we get to hear from you as well. So thank you for being here. And as if I hadn't drank enough tonight, cheers to everybody watching.
Why not? There's still some in my glass. Here we go. Well, we're going to take one more
Chris falls out of his chair.
Right. We're going to take one more quick break. And when we come back, I got some rapid fire questions for my friends here.
Sweet.
The link is in the chat. So if you're still feeling like you want to come in, we got a little room left for you. So we'll be back in just a minute with more Force Connect.
Revenge of the Sith acting challenge. I play Obi-Wan, you play Anakin. You're the blue line.
No.
Let's go. You were the chosen one.
No, this is a FaceTime call, buddy. I think
It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them.
No, you definitely have the wrong number.
Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness.
I'm not even sure what you're talking about, but thank you for calling. Check who you're trying to call. You got the wrong number, and don't be so upset about it. I'm sorry. You just have the wrong number. It happens. It's happened.
You were my brother, Anakin.
No, I'm not even Anakin, and I don't know who you are.
I loved you.
Oh, hey, easy. Listen, I don't feel the same way. No, don't do that. Don't do that. No, I'm so sorry. I hope you find who you're trying to call, though. Wait, where are you going? And we're back with another segment of Force Connect, the live Star Wars.
We have an important question in the chat.
Yeah. And to answer your question, Brian, how you doing, brother? No.
The question
is, for those listening at home in the podcast, Brian Fennessy, patron and friend of the show, asked, "Did I miss Pete's public apology to Chris?"
Yeah, sorry.
Turns out, not so much.
No. He looks like he's waiting for it, but you know what?
I have a public apology to make. I'll get in front of.
Okay, go ahead. Why don't you get in front of me? Because
I'll give Pete some time to figure out how he's going to handle this. You have about 45 seconds to solve this problem.
Go.
I was wrong about Axe Woves. I'm putting it out there. Axe Woves seemed shady. He seemed dirty. They were privateers.
We were wrong about
he was
everyone.
A little bit whatever. I mean, yes, we were wrong with it about everyone, 100%. But I also and I have to throw a shout out to my friends Greg, Tim, and Jim at Yubnub, listening to their episode talking about the finale, and they made an excellent point, which is talking about Mandalorians and air combat and all these different things. Axe got on that ship, sent everybody else out. He's like, I got this. And we feel like, oh, crap, we're heading for another Holdo maneuver, a Woves maneuver, or whatever. And he went, nope, window, I'm out. Like, how great is it to see somebody go, I'm going to crash a ship, but I don't have to stay there. I can just jump.
A very grievous way of handling things.
100%.
Oh, look.
Hello, Matt.
Southern Hemisphere. The other side of the planet is watching the show. Thank you, Matt. So good to see you, buddy.
Hope your 27-day return from England to that death trap Australia worked out for you.
Wow. So apology. Listen, I gotta say, I am still not sold, and I'm going to tell you why. There was I know I was planning. I was about to take a victory lap when I saw that Moff Gideon was looking at the map, and there was a little red dot and a little green dot, which told me that there was a track. How else would they know?
They were tracking intruders.
No, they were.
You want to blame it on? Stop.
Okay, maybe it's the Ed Zealot.
Brian, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. No apology from Pete. I'm going to hold this over him forever.
I'll survive.
Oh,
wait,
Matt just said I'll call in if you want. Someone to
yeah,
swear
we
on
don't
camera.
mind people swearing on camera. This is a rated E show, so dial
Matt,
in.
I've got you. Link coming in hot right here.
So while we wait for Matt, I'm gonna hit you guys with a couple of rapid fire questions here. All right, just like last week. This is a new thing we want to keep trying to do.
I like this.
First question: is Moff Gideon dead? Nick.
No, sir. I think it was too easy. I think that armor, clone, some version of Moff Gideon is not dead. We've planted too many clone seeds, too many. Even if it's just like a random crazy pop up and he gets immediately shot in the head, like I'm not saying it has to be a whole nother long season arc, but I think we see another version of Gideon somewhere down the line.
Interesting. Nick, Chris, rather. I just heard from Nick.
Yeah, no.
No,
he's too brilliant. He's too smart. for that to get caught up in that. I think. Yeah.
I'm going to say he is dead because I think he's too arrogant. So that's my take. All right, I got a couple more, but we do have a guy calling from tomorrow here, so I'm going to let's bring him in here. Let me pick out a nice video for him if I can get my mouse to work and the buttons to work. Here we go. Let's use this one.
Hello, what have we here?
There he is.
What's up, world traveler?
Hi. Hello.
It's like June 17th on the other side of the world. What's up?
Can you guys can hear me all right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Yeah. All good.
Oh, good.
All good.
Good.
Yeah,
so what did you think of Mando, man?
I loved it. I had a great time, but like, sorry, you were, as I said, oh yeah, I'm gonna call in if you want someone to swear on camera. Pete, you were saying something about the hallway and the dots or something, and then
Yes,
I was switching windows. What did I miss? What did you just say?
Well, I was saying that the dots on the map could have been the tracker that Grief Karga put into IG-12.
Keep reaching.
So you're what? You're
like
about
Mr.
80,
Fantastic.
you're about 80 years old.
Yes, I'm about 80
you're about
plus
80, so
years old. Yes.
So you were around at the invention of home security systems, right? And we've had motion detection in our lounge room. Like, I'm at my mum's house. Okay, I'm at my mum's house right now because I've got COVID.
Yay!
Oh man!
Yay!
Surprise!
Let me just show you something. So this house was built in 1981. And look at that. See that?
But in Star Wars, you would just shoot those.
Right? Yeah.
Exactly. But see, like if I move, it goes. Oh, there's someone there. So
it just seems so convenient that one of them was red and one of them was green.
Exactly.
It just seems so convenient to blame the black guy for it. That's what it is.
He's black, it's because he's wearing a cape. I've said it before. I am a capist.
You're a capist. Yeah, right. It's a good cover.
Capist. Yeah.
Matt,
so anyway,
I gotta ask, since I'm gonna just continue to get beat up on this, and maybe rightfully so, but I don't know. How was Star Wars Celebration for you? Mate. Yeah, that's all right. That's fine. How was Star Wars Celebration for you? Was it worth the crazy travel and the all the effort? Yeah. What was the best part of Celebration for you?
There was this, while I was away, there was that controversy of the Dalai Lama getting some kid to suck his tongue.
Yes.
And there was what? I don't look
it's true.
It up.
It's a real thing. Yeah.
I have to look this up.
So
no, I don't.
There was a night where we all went out and we did the Dalai Lama kiss, and that was great.
That might be why you have COVID, Matt. I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying.
So there's that photo. There's that photo of that's been floating around on Twitter and Instagram. So there's like me, I'm holding the camera, and there's like Nikki and Alden Diaz and the Damons and all that. I'm telling you that in that photo, it's like 50% of that's COVID.
Yeah, super spreader.
At least half of us got it, and that's that's the photo. If you're looking at it, it's like, yeah, if you didn't have it before then, that's when we got it. But yeah, no, it was 100% worth it. As always, like, you guys, Chris, you've been, Nick, Pete.
Yeah, Nick and I were in Anaheim. Yeah,
you went to Anaheim. Yeah, that's right. So it was 100% worth it. Like, and it's not so much about even the events. Like, the panels are really good. Like the panels are great. Don't get me wrong. And I'll give you as quick as possible, because I know you want to probably have other people come in and all that sort of stuff, and I won't take up too much time. But like before Celebration, everyone's cracking the shits because of the ballot system. It's not that big of a deal, because if you don't get into the balloted events, everything that they show, like as an example, I didn't go to the Lucasfilm panel. I swapped my ticket to that because I won the ballot. I swapped that so I could go to the Ahsoka one, and then so the first panel that's happening runs 2 hours over time, and they have all these announcements, and I'm sitting there with not FOMO because it wasn't I was just missing out. I had the Mo, and so I'm sitting there with Charlie Ashby in the food area, struggling to get on the Wi-Fi. His phone got on the Wi-Fi, but the Wi-Fi system wasn't working, and so he's managing to get Twitter updates because Alex Damon's live tweeting it, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh bloody hell! I wish I didn't give up my ticket." But then every single thing that was shown in that, except for Skeleton Crew, was shown at other non-balloted panels, and more. You know, so like in some cases, like the Acolyte footage and stuff like that. That was just shown again in the High Republic panel, and there was no ballot for that. So if you didn't get a chance to see it there, you could see it somewhere else. The Andor panel had stuff that was shown there, you know, like the Ahsoka panel, yeah, that was balloted, but like you could still get in to one of the other overflow stages and stuff. And they showed you more in that than they showed in the Lucasfilm panel. So I saw everything. No matter what I got into or didn't get a ballot for, and that was great. But you spend so much time at Celebration waiting in a line to get into something,
right?
You know, so one whole day might just be 3 panels, and that's your whole day, and that's all good. That's fun. It's exciting and all that sort of stuff. But like the real kind of magic of it is just hanging out with all these people that you don't get to see otherwise. And you know, like I don't know how it is for people in the same country, but like there's me, there's a couple other Australians, and that's sort of us getting to hang out with all these people that we interact with only online, you know, and having to do that. In my case, it had been 4 years. Like, you know, it'd been 4 years since I've seen Alex and Molly. Like 4 years. It had been 4 years since I'd seen Ashby. Like it's crazy. It's crazy to do that, and then all of a sudden everyone's there. And
well, like, and that was my thing. That was my thing with Anaheim last year, because my trip came together super last minute, and even to the point where almost right up until it was time for me to go, I didn't necessarily have tickets to the con itself. I had a flight, I had a hotel, and I told myself right off the bat, I was like, if all I get to do is go meet these friends I've made in the last 2 years, worth it, 100%. Like I wouldn't have had to step in the building. I got to, and it was amazing, and I couldn't be more thankful for it. But honestly, it was the family reunion, certainly after COVID and those 2 years and all that stuff. It was the moment I needed to truly be with my weird space friends, and to have the chance to go to the pink milk party at that bar and have drinks and talk to Scotty until 1 a.m, and sit on the back patio with Jason Fry and Chris and Pete and Greg Iwinski for 2.5 hours and just drink and talk and hang out and be like, these are my people. Like, I don't get to be with them all the time, but when I am, it's automatic and it's natural. And it's, you know, it's a part of, it really is the community that Star Wars has built for us, you know, and has been building for 46 years now.
Yeah. It's, you know, it's that thing, like if anyone's never been to one and is watching the live stream, and every now and then they'll show someone on the, you know, on the live stream, like one of the hosts saying that, you know, like, these are your people, have a great time and all that. And I think at an arm's length, it sounds like cheesy, a little bit cheesy, and a little bit kind of, you know, happy, joy Disney. But like, it's 100% true, and you don't know it until you're there, and it's hard to quantify. It's hard, like it's easy to describe why, but it's hard to quantify the feeling. And I think it is. I think it's just kind of like excitement, a bit of excitement overload, and that kind of like that dopamine hit of just having all your buddies around.
Right.
And it's like you said, it's instant. And like, you know, then of course there's all the upside stuff, like, you know, you're hanging out at the same bars, and there's all these other people that you don't necessarily know, but you know of.
Right.
And
you're standing there and Matthew Wood walks through, or Ash Crossan walks through, or you know, somebody else, you're like, wait, they're a big deal, and they're here hanging out. They're hanging out like we are. And it really is
Like you were,
yep,
lots of that, and it's great. It's
and I
great.
thought,
like,
honestly, I had the thought, and looking at you guys' pictures, because of course I'm friends with all of you on social media, and those pictures coming out over the course of that weekend. The thought that stood out to me a little bit more is when you have it someplace like London, like in Anaheim, like a lot of those Lucasfilm, Star Wars, Disney, Hollywood, those people live there or live close to there. Like they're going home at night. But in London, it had to be a little bit more social, even with the creatives and those folks, because like you're all in a strange land. You're all away from home. So you're more likely to run into those folks in the bar. Was that kind of the case?
I think so. I guess like it depends on which bar. So,
sure.
There was, I went and had some drinks with Holly Frey and Brian Frey on one night at where their hotel was.
Okay.
And, so just the nature of their work and whatnot. So they had some people from Lucasfilm that were hanging around there and stuff. But those people, I didn't see those people at the bar that everyone was hanging out at.
Right.
And I think it's like the vibe's very different. There was spots where that was happening and everyone was super chilled and just like having chats and all that, and it was low key. And then there was the Novotel bar that we were all going to kind of every night.
Sure.
And oh Jesus, that was deadly. that was absolute chaos some nights. Like it was great. Really
Absolutely
good. Really good.
Well, that's so awesome. I'm so glad y'all had that kind of fun. Of course, we were jealous. We were covering it from home. I texted you, you sent us some, pictures and stuff, and that was amazing. I thank you for that. As we get ready to get you out of here, first of all, thank you for calling. It's like Tuesday where you live, but
it's Saturday lunchtime.
Oh, okay. Sure. That's what they want you to believe. As we get you out of here, of course, you said you love the finale. You love, what we got. Your wrap-up parting question is, what's next? Where do we go next in this little trajectory?
All right. So I think a lot of it hinges on the Dins. Can we call them the Dins now?
We can.
Absolutely.
I think we can. Yeah.
100%.
So the Dins go and see Carson Teva at the bar, and nice that they're letting minors into the bar. Although I guess it's so weird, isn't it?
It's a weird drinking age thing. Yeah.
Let me adopt this 50-year-old as my son. He's definitely 20 years older than me, but I'll adopt.
But it's fine. Yeah. No big deal.
No big deal. But yeah, going to the bar, I got a real strong sense the way that they were wording that. It's like, hey, I'll do these missions for you, and I'm just like, oh yeah. So is this how they're rolling Rangers of the New Republic into a different, like just into a different show? And that actually made me kind of glad, because I was always kind of a bit dubious on Rangers of the New Republic. Like I thought, they're gonna have Cara Dune leading it, and I was like, I mean,
you're actually more excited for it now.
Yeah, exactly. I thought that was I think it's a smarter way of
agreed.
Of doing it, and so that's where I think we're going to kind of go. I think we're going to get a bit more of the season 1 vibe.
Yeah,
of like,
I think so.
I agree too. And that was the other. Yep, that hard reset gets us back to Adventure of the Week, not
But I don't think that'll stay that way. I think if you look at kind of their track record with this sort of stuff, I think they like to do a bit of that. They'll go mission of the week, and then drop some hints, and then they'll start being a through line, and then there'll be a climactic thing, and then some sort of other reset. It's their formula, the way they do it. It's not like House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, where it's just plot through line constantly.
Right.
It's a different format of show, and I think we've got to realize that sometime. Everything starts slow, build, and then something, and then So that's where they're going.
Awesome, Matt. Thank you so much for calling in. It's always good to see you. We don't see you enough. But I hope that you recover well and that you continue to get back to, whatever normal life is.
Chicken dance. What's the chicken dance?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Thanks.
All right, my friend. See you again soon. See ya. Bye.
Bye.
All right. It's always awesome to hear from Matt. Matt's
for sure
just the best. Well, before we get out of here, let's do our let's figure out what's happening for the rest of the week. What's going on with Pro Axiom, Mr. Chris?
Muted.
You're muted.
My bad. Got a new Shooting the Poodle coming out this Sunday. Gonna be talking about. Oh yes. Gonna be talking about the Mandalorian finale. We've got Broaxium Gaming on Tuesdays, and also Mondays and Tuesdays we're gonna have the quick shot previews. We have let's see. There's a new High Republic book that's going to be coming out. There is, I think another Star Wars comic. But yeah, there's going to be like at least 10 comics coming out within the next 2 weeks. It's going to be insane. Star Wars, I can't wait. Wow. And a new Star Bros podcast will be coming out talking about the last 2 episodes. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Can't wait to hear those. Those are going to be awesome. And on the SSW network, we have, well, let's see, we're off next week. There will not be a Force Connect next week, but that's okay because you'll all be going to see Return of the Jedi in theaters for that weekend, or you'll be playing Jedi Survivor, or you'll be watching Visions, or you'll be watching the Jedi Adventures.
As I pointed out to you guys earlier, my local minor league baseball team is having Star Wars night next weekend. So Return of the Jedi one night, Star Wars night the next night. Baseball, sports, Star Wars, all rolled into one makes this guy a happy guy.
And Nick, we have an Around the Galaxy interview tomorrow, which will come out in the next couple of weeks. Who are we talking to?
Absolutely. If you are a Patreon subscriber, check your messages, maybe like a little bit after the show, because Pete's going to send it out for us. If you're not a Patreon subscriber, no better time to subscribe now. For as little as $3 a month, you could be a part of the live recording interview. If you watched any of Star Wars Celebration live online, you saw a gentleman named Jez Allenson. Jez is the running Stormtrooper. He was in full Stormtrooper gear, running on a treadmill. His deal is he runs marathons for charity, dressed as a Stormtrooper, raises money for a couple of different charities, one of which you may have heard of if you're familiar with us at all, which is the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yes.
So I reached out to Jez pretty much immediately when Celebration ended and said, dude, we'd love to hear your story. Talk about what drives you to get out and run literally full marathon. I can't drive a full marathon.
Right.
I'm not willing to do that. This dude gets out and runs multiple ones a year while dressed fully as a Stormtrooper. So very impressive. I'm going to be interviewing him tomorrow at 1:00 Central Time, 2:00 Eastern. That means 11 o'clock Pacific, and he lives in the UK, so it's like 6 or 7 at night. He's very nice. Excited for that conversation. So if you're a Patreon supporter already, come join us tomorrow afternoon, hang out, be in the chat for that. If you'd like to join, we'd love to have you there. Otherwise, it will be in the podcast feed in the next week or two.
Absolutely. And then also in the podcast feed, Around the Galaxy is going to be interviewing a handful of the producers, creators of Star Wars Visions Volume 2. So you'll be able to hear that in the feed probably, I think, next Thursday. So make sure you're hanging out for that. And yeah, we'll keep things going. But we will be back in 2 weeks live on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@the-SSW Network. Follow us on all your social media channels at the SSW Network. Go to sswnetwork.com, thesswnetwork.com, so that you can get links to everything that we talk about on a regular basis. Chris, may the Force be with you.
Always.
Just one more round, friend, then homeward bound, friend. Don't forget me in your dreams. Just one more song, friend, and then so long, friend. The nights get shorter, it seems. Just one more rhyme, friend. Yes, it's a crime, friend. But you know time, friend. Time can fly. So it's good night, friend. Good night, but not goodbye.